let's just talk about the Man United win, and let's talk about the advantages and what we can see that are coming into this team right now. It's quite evident that there has been changes, so I just want to talk about that with you guys for a second. So let me cover off my top five. You guys know I always do a top five. So the first thing for me is the training. Now, this is an important aspect of what we're doing. And Unai Emery, while he brought in different methods and some methods that worked, and definitely got the team to stretch themselves on another level, the training really helped with especially what he did last year. But as things tailed off towards the end of last season, players don't buy into philosophy, and they don't buy into a system, and they don't buy into the consistency and the transparency of what the coach is doing, because it's not really clear. And things start to drop off one by one. We know that the kilometers run under Unai Emery was averaging 107, 106. Some games they would run as low as 101, 102. Against Man United and Chelsea, Arsenal were averaging 114 kilometers as a team. So straight away, when things are not working and when players don't understand what's happening and the message is mixed, then you start to see that fall off from different areas, and the work rate and the belief and the desire, all that starts to nib away at the players, each and every one of them, until you have a situation where Arsenal had to let go Emery because we were in a situation where an amount of games without not just a win, but no effort. Within the training as well, he's implemented Guardiola's version of the Barcelona Rondo. Now, for those who don't know what the Rondo is, a Rondo is a soccer drill where a group of players have the ball and they use it as an overload advantage. So whether that's 3 against 1, 4 against 2, 5 against 2, or 6 against 3, it's basically a group of players with the objective to overload the team. And it's also one to keep possession of the ball with a group of players after you've lost possession. And this is abundantly clear. When Arsenal lose possession, there is 3 or 4 Arsenal players around the person who's just won the possession of the ball. And in many times, I would say 50% of the times against Chelsea and Man United, we were able to win the ball back. And that's something that is clearly evident. And it is definitely high pressure, that's for sure. And this is the reason why Arteta is going to be in the market in January. No doubt about that, because we simply don't have the stamina and the legs to keep pulling that off over a time. So that's something that I would expect him to work on. Now, training is all great, and every team has it. And I know as a manager myself, when you're training and teaching, the most important aspect of that is, yes, you're telling somebody what to do. Yes, you're introducing new methods. But if you don't support your team in any type of business or any type of sport, then the training is relatively useless. Because telling somebody how to do something is great, but showing them how to do it is even greater. And what we're having here from Arteta and the coaching staff is things like I mentioned, like the Rondo, and things that where they are really on point. Now, we know that Wenger took part of every training session that he ever did. We know that Unai Emery never really did that. It was more sort of Juan Carlos's role to go through all the drills and everything. Unai Emery was there, but he was not really a part of the process as far as being on hands to offer support. That was more his training staff team. Whereas Arteta, not only is he doing a massive job in the support of the players, but I talked about in my previous videos the fact that he never sat on the bench once against Chelsea and against Man United. So it's as if the players are running around for 90 minutes and Arteta is also on his feet for 90 minutes. He is sort of like the 11 and a half man. I know the fans are the 12th man, and we'll come on to that. But Arteta is like the 11 and a half man. He's like an added part of what's going on the pitch. And that is absolutely brilliant. And there are situations now where players are running over onto the sidelines and getting further instructions from him. So the support has increased greatly. the system. This is something that irked me big time. And again, we'll go back to Wenger. Wenger had a system in place. He played his football. He didn't care about what other teams were doing. Arsenal were going to play their own way. They had a philosophy, and it was fluid, fast football, one-touch football, a system where players were free to express themselves, and that's how Wenger made his keep. And let's be fair, it's a great philosophy. It's definitely fun for the eyes, but it also didn't evolve with the way the game did under these new managers. And we can't fault Wenger for that. Wenger had a great philosophy, and when it worked really well. And he's won titles, and you can't argue with 17 trophies over 22 years, can you? But the main thing here was when Emery took over, we didn't know what the hell we were doing. 1 minute we were doing this, 1 minute we were doing that. We were playing 3 in the middle, we were playing 2 in the middle, we were playing 3 at the back, we were playing 4 at the back. We were going with win backs, we weren't going with win backs. We had an anchor man up front, then we had 3 up front. And look, I'm okay if this lasts for a few months, but this lasted for over a year. Over a year. He never really knew what he was doing as a fundamental ground level philosophy. He did not stamp his authority on the team to say, this is who we are. We had no identity under Emery. And look, you can listen to whatever you want, but I'm just telling you the facts. We had no identity under Emery. Yeah? And what we have under Arteta in just the space of a few games is a clear message to say, this is who we are, this is how we're going to play, and this is how we're going to train in order to be effective this way, and this is what we're going to do from the get-go. So there is no if, but, or maybes when the game starts. And remember when we used to say Arsenal were a second-half team and all that stuff, and we used to start slow. We started slowly because when you don't have an identity, there's a kind of feeling when you start the game that you have to warm up into it. There is no warming up in this team right now. It is bang, right off the whistle. They know what they're doing. They are taking the game to the other team. They are bullying the other team, and they are taking advantage of the possession that they have. That's what we're seeing right now. Now, Arteta made it clear that he wanted to create an atmosphere in the Emirates, and he wanted to win the trust of the fans back. And you guys know you all deserve a voice, but that should not stop you from supporting your team. Yeah? Back your team means regardless of the result, win, lose or draw, you should be there, hand and foot, supporting your team, whether it's at the stadium, whether it's on TV, whether it's online, whether it's however you support your team. Support your team. I see a few fans after some losses, and we've had quite a few of them now, just give up. I can't be bothered with this anymore. They're rubbish. Really? Really? This is your team. Yeah? This is your team. So the one thing that Arteta has brought back is a voice. And that voice is translating onto the field to the players. And they are feeling it. They're feeling the love from the fans. And it's pushing them and making them want to give more. And guys, I know it's only been 2 games, and also it's been big teams as well, and that's where I'm kind of wary, because we're up for the big games at the Emirates. It's what happens when the Southamptons, the Norwiches, and the Brightons, and all those other teams. What happens when they come to the Emirates? Will we be in voice in the same way, or will we be sitting down reserved and waiting for the team to react? I don't know. Only time will tell. The structure right now is working in the favour of Arteta. It's what he wanted from day one when he interviewed here 18 months ago. The amount of transparency and power and input that he needs to get this thing working is something that he has right now as we speak. He needs a certain type of player. He needs a certain type of system in order to work, in order for him to facilitate success. Now, he's already made his targets clear of who he wants and who's identified. And this goes beyond what the board's plan originally was for having a director of football and a technical director and all those people who were kind of making the decisions. Remember, guys, the likes of Guendouzi, the likes of Torreira and Socrates, and these players were brought in were not Unai Emery's first choice. They were mostly Sev Mislintat, and Emery didn't really have an input in that. He didn't really have a say. It was almost as if that was taken out of his hands. And with Arteta, that's not the case. He is involved at the highest level, and he's involved at the mid-level as well. And he has just enough hands in the pie to work alongside Freddie and Per Mertesacker with the academy, to work with his own team, and to work with the front office. And that's something that Arteta's comfortable doing, and he wanted that from day one. And that's something that he's happy to have, and he can only build success with that model. So guys, that's really where things are at the moment now. And let's be fair, he has a system that really works, and it's keeping the team solid. The shape is nice, cohesive, it's tight. And what happens when you have a tight shape is you can play a rondo, you can overload the opponents when you lose the ball, because you have the players around you to help you and support you with what you're doing. And that means offensively and defensively. Offensively, when you're looking to play a ball off quickly and move faster, get the ball movement quicker, there's always an option for you. Defensively, when you lose the ball, there's always someone who supports you as well. Keeping a tighter shape also means it's harder for the opponents to play the ball through you into space. If you're clogging up the gaps, it's very difficult to get the ball through. And that's why we saw Chelsea and Man United really suffocate in the first halves of the last two games, because it is very hard for them to facilitate. You know, right at the back, we sit off, don't we? We don't necessarily press them all the time up high. We allow them some space, but that's because we're trying to keep composed and tight and make it hard for them to find an opening. And the other thing as well is defending from the top. Lacazette, Ozil and Aubameyang have worked so hard in these last few games. And what it does is, you know, something Thierry Henry used to say about the Invincibles. He said the best defense starts from the top. And that's what we're seeing. These guys are knackered when they come off the field at full time. And that's what we want to see. We want to see you guys getting 200 grand a week, 300 grand a week. Work hard for your money. Work hard for the fans. Show appreciation and love what you do. And the players are doing that right now. And that kind of energy is feeding through the whole fan base. And I love it. Seriously, I love it. So those are the 5 biggest changes that I think that we have gone through now that has caused this change of success. And one can only hope that we'll be able to maintain that moving forward. Now, we know that there's going to be times where things are going to get harder and the honeymoon period is going to be over. Just look at Jose Mourinho and Spurs right now, yeah? That their honeymoon period gone. Yeah, them guys ain't getting no love right now. But we're going to obviously come into a patch where things aren't going to be great, and we're going to have to react accordingly. And if it's anything like the Chelsea game, then I'm all for that, because even when we lost the game, the fans were up for it. There was none of this, we're shit, we're crap, we're blah, blah, blah. People were leaving the stadium saying, you know what, we lost because of 2 mistakes by Mustafi and Leno. And we had that game. After 83 minutes, we kept a clean sheet. Everyone did what they were supposed to until people started screwing up. Things are looking good. And look, as far as playing football and coaching and doing all the other stuff, I've always said to Arsenal fans, sometimes when you have a bad defence, yeah, the first thing people scream about is, yeah, replace him, replace him, replace him. It's not so much as replacing. Yes, we do need better players. There's no doubt about that. We need players who can play the ball out the back better, because the likes of Mustafi and Socrates cannot play the ball out. Yeah, it's like a deer in the headlights. But I think where this is interesting is when you have a bad defense, you have to coach them in order to defend better. Whether that's zonal marking, man-to-man, or whether that's playing your gaps, whether that's your positioning, whether that's going with runners and following and tracking as well. You have to be able to play better defense. And that is a coaching issue, not a personnel issue. It's not always a personal issue anyway. When you have something like someone like Mustafi, no amount of coaching can help that brother. Yeah. But when you see what's going on with how Socrates and Luis has played over the last few games, and the gap controls and the way they've positioned them and the way how they run into angles and try to cut off any runners potentially trying to get in on the end of any cross balls. And also something I've talked about, which has really got on my nerves over the last few months. What we have failed to do is to shut down crosses, not challenging any crosses coming in, which just opens the goalkeeper in the 6-yard box to potential problems. Shut them off on the wings, apply the pressure, close down the ball, block the crosses coming in, and you would have done your job. We're starting to see a lot of that now. So guys, I'm going to leave it right there. Appreciate the love. Support the channel, like and subscribe. I might have to do the podcast on the Sunday. I might have to do it earlier because we're actually playing on the Monday night. So I'm not sure if I'm going to actually do the Monday show. I think it's going to probably be on Sunday. It'll be on the weekend at some point. But yeah, I mean, overall good things. It's a great time to have a little break as well, because we're able to get on the training ground. I passed London Coney this morning, a lot of activity going on around there. But we're able to go in and start to talk about the things that went well, look at film, do some case studies on certain positions, and really grow within what we're doing. So congratulations, well done to the Gooners, man, and big up the fan base. Back your team, right back at you. Peace.